In the late 1930s, the United States was emerging from the long shadow of the Great Depression. Industry had begun to recover, highways were expanding under federal infrastructure programs, and Americans were rediscovering mobility as both necessity and aspiration. Streamlining defined the era. Trains, household appliances, and automobiles adopted aerodynamic forms inspired by aviation and industrial design. It was a period when optimism cautiously returned, and engineers experimented boldly with new materials and new ideas about how people might live and travel. Within this atmosphere of technical curiosity and social transition, an unusual machine appeared on American roads in 1938: the Vagabond, a self-contained luxury motorhome that seemed decades ahead of prevailing automotive thought. The Vagabond was developed under the influence of aviation pioneer Glenn Curtiss, a man whose career had reshaped early American flight. Curtiss had long demonstrated a willingness to challenge conventional boundaries, first with motorcycles and then with aircraft. By the 1930s, his interests extended beyond aviation toward broader applications of lightweight construction and aerodynamic design. The concept behind the Vagabond was direct yet ambitious. If aircraft engineering could reduce drag and maximize structural efficiency in the air, similar principles might improve long-distance travel on land. At a time when most motorhomes were little more than box-like conversions mounted on truck frames, Curtiss envisioned a streamlined, integrated vehicle that combined mobility with domestic comfort. The exterior of the 1938 Vagabond reflected this philosophy. Its bodywork displayed smooth, rounded contours rather than sharp edges. The front fascia tapered gently, minimizing visual bulk and echoing the nose of contemporary aircraft. Large windows admitted generous natural light, while aluminum body panels reduced weight compared with traditional steel coachwork. The overall length approached 30 feet, imposing yet balanced by careful proportion. Unlike many commercial vehicles of the era, the Vagabond did not appear utilitarian. It conveyed refinement, shaped by both aerodynamic logic and aesthetic restraint. Beneath the streamlined body, the Vagabond relied on a robust chassis engineered to support significant weight while maintaining road stability. Contemporary documentation indicates that it utilized a powerful straight-eight gasoline engine, similar in configuration to luxury passenger cars of the late 1930s. Estimates place output in the range of 100 to 120 horsepower, respectable for a vehicle whose fully equipped weight could exceed 12,000 pounds. Power was transmitted through a manual gearbox, typically a 3-speed transmission common to heavy vehicles of the period. While it was not designed for speed, the engine provided sufficient torque for steady highway cruising at moderate velocities, often between 50 and 60 miles per hour. Suspension components were reinforced to manage both passenger comfort and the demands of long-distance touring. What distinguished the Vagabond most clearly from its contemporaries, however, was its interior arrangement. The vehicle was conceived not merely as transportation, but as a fully realized mobile residence. Upon entering, occupants encountered finely crafted wood cabinetry, upholstered seating, and thoughtfully arranged storage compartments. A compact kitchen included a stove, refrigeration unit, and sink, allowing extended travel without reliance on roadside facilities. A dedicated sleeping area provided proper bedding, rather than improvised fold-down benches alone. The bathroom, rare in motor vehicles at the time, incorporated plumbing systems that required careful engineering to function reliably during motion. Ventilation and electrical systems were integrated into the body structure, reflecting a level of design coordination unusual for the era. This integration represented a significant departure from common practice. Many early motorhomes were aftermarket adaptations of commercial trucks, with limited attention to weight distribution or aerodynamic efficiency. The Vagabond, by contrast, was conceived as a unified project in which structure, drivetrain, and habitation space were planned together. Aluminum construction reduced mass while preserving rigidity. The curved body minimized wind resistance at a time when fuel economy and mechanical strain were increasingly relevant concerns. It demonstrated that recreational travel could be both technically sophisticated and comfortable. Despite its innovation, the Vagabond remained rare. The cost was considerable. Priced at approximately $9,000 in 1938, it occupied a financial bracket accessible only to affluent buyers. Adjusted for inflation, this figure represented a substantial investment comparable to a luxury home in some regions. Production numbers were limited, likely confined to only a handful of units. Each required specialized craftsmanship and complex assembly techniques that did not lend themselves to mass manufacturing. As global tensions escalated toward the outbreak of the Second World War, industrial priorities shifted decisively toward military production. Materials such as aluminum were redirected to aircraft and defense applications, and civilian luxury vehicles became secondary concerns. Real-world usage of the Vagabond appears to have centered on private ownership by individuals seeking extended touring capability. It functioned as both transport and accommodation, enabling cross-country travel during a formative period in American highway development. Yet the broader recreational vehicle market had not matured sufficiently to support sustained demand for such advanced machines. Campgrounds were limited, infrastructure varied widely, and the cultural concept of the motorhome as mainstream leisure equipment would not solidify until decades later. In retrospect, the Vagabond anticipated many features now associated with contemporary luxury motorcoaches. Modern Class A motorhomes employ aerodynamic shaping, lightweight materials, integrated electrical systems, and residential-level amenities. Slide-out rooms, climate control, and sophisticated suspension technologies have expanded upon principles that the Vagabond explored in their early forms. While today's vehicles benefit from computer-aided engineering and high-output diesel engines producing several hundred horsepower, the conceptual foundation of combining streamlined design with comprehensive domestic comfort can be traced to experiments like the 1938 Vagabond. Its disappearance from regular production was not a failure of engineering, but a reflection of historical timing. The economic climate, limited infrastructure, and impending war constrained its potential audience. Moreover, manufacturing such a vehicle required resources and craftsmanship difficult to scale profitably. As the war concluded and the post-war boom reshaped automotive markets, recreational vehicles re-emerged in different configurations, often emphasizing affordability over bespoke refinement. The Vagabond became an artifact rather than a lineage-defining production model. Today, surviving examples are preserved by collectors and museums as representatives of pre-war ingenuity. They illustrate how designers of the late 1930s were already envisioning mobile lifestyles that would only become commonplace in the latter half of the 20th century. The Vagabond stands as a testament to interdisciplinary thinking, where aviation expertise informed ground transportation and where domestic architecture merged with automotive engineering. When viewed through the lens of automotive history, the 1938 Vagabond occupies a distinctive position. It was neither a commercial success nor a mass-produced icon, yet it embodied a forward-looking approach to mobility. It demonstrated that travel could integrate comfort, efficiency, and aesthetic coherence long before such integration became industry standard. In doing so, it quietly challenged assumptions about what a motor vehicle could be. As we reflect on machines like the Vagabond, we are reminded that innovation often appears in limited numbers, shaped by individuals willing to experiment beyond established norms. If you value careful explorations of automotive history and the stories behind remarkable vehicles, consider subscribing for future documentaries that continue to examine the evolution of design and engineering across the decades.